God, please, wherever my child is, please protect her for me till we meet again.
Dear Lord, please show me the way to meet my parents wherever they are.
What if I tell you that sometimes things happen that we cannot understand, and we wonder if God is still watching over us? We may lose something precious, and the pain feels so heavy that we think we cannot continue. Watch carefully as this story teaches us the important lessons about having faith, believing in what we cannot see. This is the story about a family that experienced the greatest pain any parent could face. Once upon a time in Ondo State, there lived a beautiful little girl named Kemi. She was the only daughter of Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi, and they loved her more than anything in the world. Their small home was always filled with laughter and joy because of their precious 2-year-old daughter. Kemi had bright, curious eyes that sparkled when she smiled. Her parents would watch her play in their small compound, and their hearts would fill with gratitude to God for blessing them with such a wonderful child. Mama Kemi would sing to her every night before bed, and Papa Kemi would carry her on his shoulders, making her giggle with delight. One sunny morning, the family prepared for an important journey. They were traveling from Ondo State to Lagos for a family occasion. Papa Kemi checked the car carefully, making sure everything was in order. Mama Kemi packed food and drinks for the journey, while little Kemi clapped her hands excitedly, not fully understanding where they were going, but happy to see her parents preparing for an adventure. They set off early in the morning, when the air was still cool. Papa Kemi sat behind the steering wheel, driving carefully along the busy Bada roads. Mama Kemi sat beside him in the front seat, occasionally turning back to check on their daughter. Little Kemi sat in the back seat, looking out the window at the passing trees and buildings, pointing at things that caught her attention. The journey was going smoothly, until suddenly, without warning, tragedy struck. Another vehicle swerved unexpectedly into their lane. Papa Kemi tried his best to avoid a collision, but it was too late. There was a loud crash as the vehicles collided. The sound of breaking glass and twisting metal filled the air. Then everything went silent. When the dust settled, people from nearby houses and passing vehicles rushed to the scene. They found Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi unconscious in the front seat. Good Samaritans quickly called for help, and soon an ambulance arrived. The paramedics carefully removed the injured couple from the damaged vehicle and rushed them to the nearest hospital. At the hospital, doctors and nurses worked quickly to treat Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi. They had sustained injuries, but thankfully nothing life-threatening. After receiving medical treatment, both of them slowly regained consciousness. Papa Kemi opened his eyes first, confused and disoriented. Then Mama Kemi woke up, groaning from the pain. As their minds cleared and they remembered what had happened, the same terrifying thought struck them both at the same moment. "Kemi!" Mama Kemi screamed, trying to sit up despite her pain. "Where is our daughter? Where is Kemi?" Papa Kemi tried to stand, his legs shaking. "My daughter, please, where is my baby?" he called out to the doctors and nurses around them. The medical staff looked confused. A nurse approached them gently and said, "Sir, Madam, please calm down. You both were brought here from the accident scene. There was no child with you." "No, that's impossible," Mama Kemi cried, tears streaming down her face. "Our daughter was in the back seat. She was with us. She's only 2 years old." Papa Kemi held her wife as they both sobbed. Despite their own injuries, they insisted on leaving the hospital immediately to search for their daughter. The hospital staff tried to make them stay, but seeing their desperation, they allowed them to go. The couple rushed to the nearest police station, their hearts pounding with fear. At the police station, they reported their missing daughter to the officers on duty. The police took down all the information about Kemi, her age, what she was wearing, and every detail her parents could remember. "Please, you must help us find our daughter," Papa Kemi begged the officers. "She's only 2 years old. She cannot survive alone." The police officers assured them they would do everything possible. They immediately sent a team to the accident scene to search for any sign of the missing child. The officers searched the area thoroughly, looking in the bushes, asking witnesses, checking every possible place where a small child might have wandered or been taken. But there was no trace of Kemi anywhere. Days turned to weeks. Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi went to television stations and radio stations pleading for help. Kemi's picture was shown on the news every day. If anyone sees this child, please report to the nearest police station, the announcer would say. Posters with Kemi's picture were pasted all over Ondo State. Mama Kemi could barely eat or sleep. She would lie awake at night wondering if her daughter was cold, hungry, or scared. Where could she be? Is she alive? Is someone taking care of her? Papa Kemi tried to be strong for his wife, but inside, his heart was breaking too. Every time he saw a little girl on the street, his heart would jump, hoping it might be Kemi. Their friends and family members came to visit them, offering prayers and words of comfort. Have faith in God, they would say. Kemi will return to you one day. God is watching over her.
But as months passed and there was still no news, Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi began to lose hope. She was only 2 years old, Mama Kemi would say through her tears. How could she remember us? How would she even know who she is? The house that was once filled with laughter became quiet and sad. Kemi's toys remained untouched in her room. Mama Kemi couldn't bring herself to put them away. Sometimes she would sit in Kemi's room, holding her daughter's little dress and crying. Years passed slowly, each one filled with pain and unanswered questions. But what Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi didn't know was that their daughter was alive and well. On that terrible day of the accident, when the vehicles crashed, little Kemi had indeed been thrown from the car. The impact had sent her small body flying into the thick bushes by the side of the road. She had landed in a hidden spot, away from the main accident scene, which was why no one found her. Little Kemi, frightened and confused, had crawled deeper into the bushes, crying for her mama and papa. She was scratched by thorns and her clothes were torn, but she was alive. That same day, a woman named Farida was walking along a path near that area. Farida was a kind-hearted woman who lived alone. She had always loved children but had never been blessed with any of her own. As Farida walked, she heard a sound, a child crying. At first, she thought she was imagining things, but the crying continued. She followed the sound and pushed through the bushes until she found little Kemi, dirty, scared, and crying. "Oh my God, what is a small child doing here alone?" Farida exclaimed. She picked up the little girl, who immediately clung to her, still crying. Farida looked around, searching for anyone who might be the child's parent or guardian, but the area was quiet and empty. She called out several times, "Is anyone here? Whose child is this?" But there was no answer. Farida searched the bushes thoroughly, thinking perhaps the child's mother or father had fallen somewhere nearby, but she found nothing. She didn't know about the accident that had occurred on the road not far from where she found Kemi. Looking at the frightened, crying child in her arms, Farida made a decision. "Don't worry, little one. I will take care of you," she whispered. She took Kemi home, cleaned her up, fed her, and put her to bed. And she went on to name her Kemi, without knowing that her real parent also named her Kemi. The next few days, Farida made some inquiries in her neighborhood, asking if anyone knew about a missing child, but no one did. She thought about going to the police, but something stopped her. Perhaps it was the way little Kemi had stopped crying and smiled at her for the first time. Or perhaps it was the loneliness that Farida had felt for so many years. As days turned into weeks, and no one came looking for the child in her area, Farida decided to raise Kemi as her own daughter. She told herself that whoever had abandoned such a small child in the bushes didn't deserve to have her back. And so, Kemi grew up calling Farida mother. Farida loved her deeply and gave her everything she needed. She enrolled Kemi in a good school and taught her good manners and values. Kemi grew into a beautiful, intelligent, and kind young girl. She was calm, hardworking, and respectful. She never gave Farida any trouble. In school, she excelled in her studies and made her mother proud. Farida never told Kemi the truth about how she found her. As far as Kemi knew, Farida was her real mother and she loved her dearly. Sometimes Kemi would wonder why she didn't have a father like other children, but Farida would simply say that her father had passed away when she was very young. Years passed. Kemi gained admission into the university. She studied banking and finance, working hard to make her mother proud. After 4 years, she graduated with honors. Soon after graduation, Kemi got a job at a reputable bank. She was excited to start her career and help support her mother who had sacrificed so much. After working at the bank's headquarters in Lagos for a year, Kemi received news that she was being transferred to a branch in Ondo State. Ondo State, Kemi said when she received the news. She had never been there before, but she was excited about the new opportunity. Farida's heart skipped a beat when she heard where Kemi was being transferred to. Ondo State, the same state where she had found Kemi all those years ago. But she said nothing. It had been so many years. What were the chances of anything happening? Kemi moved to Ondo State and began her new job at the bank. She was assigned to work as a customer service representative, a role she performed excellently. Customers loved her because she was patient, kind, and always ready to help solve their problems. One day, a middle-aged man walked into the bank. He looked tired and worn, as if he carried a heavy burden on his shoulders. He approached Kemi's desk with some documents in his hand. "Good afternoon, sir. How may I help you today?" Kemi asked with a warm smile. "Good afternoon," the man replied. "I'm having some issues with my account. I've been trying to resolve it for days, but no one seems to understand my problem." "Don't worry, sir. I'll do my best to help. Please have a seat and explain the issue to me." The man sat down and explained his problem. Kemi listened carefully, asked questions, and then worked on her computer to find a solution. After some time, she managed to resolve the issue completely. "There you go, sir. Your problem is fixed," Kemi said with a smile. The man looked relieved and grateful. "Thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me. I've been so frustrated. You are very good at your job and very kind too." "You're welcome, sir. I'm just doing my job. Is there anything else I can help you with?" Kemi asked. "No, that's all. Thank you again," the man said, and left the bank. What neither of them knew was that this man was Papa Kemi, Kemi's biological father.
A few months later, Papa Kemi came back to the same bank for another transaction. He looked around, hoping to see the same kind young lady who had helped him before. When he spotted Kemi, his face lit up and he joined the queue leading to her desk. When it was his turn, he sat down and smiled at her. "Good afternoon. I'm happy to see you again. You helped me some months ago and you are wonderful." Kemi smiled back. "Good afternoon, sir. I remember you. How can I help you today?" After she helped him with his transaction that day, Papa Kemi found himself curious about this young girl. There was something about her that drew him, though he couldn't explain what it was. "Please, may I know your name?" he asked before leaving. "My name is Kemi, sir," she replied politely. Papa Kemi froze. The smile disappeared from his face and his eyes filled with tears. "Kemi?" he whispered. That was my daughter's name. She got missing many, many years ago when she was just a little child. We never found her." Kemi felt her heart break for the man. "I'm so sorry, sir. That must be very painful for you and your family." Papa Kemi wiped his eyes. "Yes, it has been the greatest pain of our lives. Every day, my wife and I wonder what happened to our little Kemi. She would be about your age now if she's still alive." He thanked Kemi again and left the bank, not knowing that he had just been talking to his own daughter. That evening, Papa Kemi went home and told his wife about the encounter. "There's a young lady at the bank who has been helping me. She's very kind and respectful. Today, I learned that her name is Kemi." Mama Kemi looked up, tears immediately filling her eyes. "Kemi? Just like our daughter?" "Yes," Papa Kemi said sadly. "It made me think about our Kemi. Where could she be now? Would she be as kind and beautiful as this young lady if she was still alive? They held each other and cried, as they had done countless times over the years. Meanwhile, Kemi was also having strange feelings. After meeting Papa Kemi and hearing his story, she couldn't stop thinking about him. There was something about the sadness in his eyes that touched her deeply. That night, as she lay in bed, Kemi began to think about her own life. She realized that she had never seen any pictures of herself as a baby. She had never met any of her mother's relatives. She didn't know anything about her father except what her mother had told her. The more she thought about it, the more questions filled her mind. She decided she needed to talk to Farida. The next day, Kemi called Farida. "Mommy, I need to ask you something important, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Farida's heart began to race. "What is it, my dear?" "Mommy, I want to know about my father. Who was he? Why have I never seen any pictures of him? Why have I never met any of our relatives? Please, tell me the truth." Farida felt as if the world was closing in on her. She had always known this day might come, but she had hoped it never would. "Kemi, my dear," Farida said, her voice shaking, "this is not a conversation we can have on the phone. Please, come home this weekend and we will talk face to face." Kemi could hear the emotion in her mother's voice, and she knew something was not right. "Okay, Mommy, I'll come home this weekend." The days until the weekend felt like years for both women. Farida prayed and cried, knowing she would have to tell the truth. Kemi was anxious and confused, wondering what secret her mother was keeping. When Saturday came, Kemi traveled from Ondo State to Lagos. When she arrived at the house, she found Farida waiting for her, crying. "Mommy, what's wrong? Why have you been crying?" Kemi asked, rushing to embrace her. Farida held Kemi tight and sobbed. "Oh, my daughter, please forgive me. Please forgive me." "Forgive you for what, Mommy? You are scaring me. What's going on?" Kemi said, now crying too. They sat down and Farida took a deep breath. Then, with tears streaming down her face, she told Kemi everything. How she had found her in the bushes, how she had searched but found no one, how she had decided to raise her as her own, and how she had never told her the truth. Kemi sat in shock, unable to believe what she was hearing. So you are not my real mother? My parents are somewhere out there and they don't know I'm alive?" "I'm sorry, Kemi. I'm so sorry," Farida cried. "I loved you so much. I raised you as my own. I gave you everything I had. But I should have told you the truth. I should have tried harder to find your real parents." Kemi didn't know what to feel. She was angry, confused, and sad all at once. But as she looked at Farida crying, she also felt love. This woman had raised her, cared for her, and loved her for all these years. "Mommy," Kemi said quietly, using the name she had always called Farida. "I don't know how to feel right now. I'm confused and hurt, but I also know that you loved me and took care of me. You gave me a good life." After some time, Kemi spoke again. "Mommy, I think I may have met my father." Farida looked up in shock. "What? How?" Kemi told her about Papa Kemi, the man who came to the bank, how he had told her about his missing daughter named Kemi, and the strange connection she felt with him. "That must be him," Farida said. "That must be your real father. Oh, Kemi, what have I done? I've kept a family apart for all these years." They talked deep into the night, and finally they made a plan. Farida would go with Kemi back to Ondo State, and they would find a way to approach Papa Kemi and tell him the truth. The following week, Farida traveled to Ondo State, but when Kemi went to work, she discovered that she didn't know how to find Papa Kemi. She asked her colleagues if they knew him, but no one could help her because they had so many customers. Then Kemi had an idea.
She went to the bank's records and found Papa Kemi's file. In it, she found his phone number and address. Her hands were shaking as she picked up the phone to call him. "Hello," Papa Kemi answered. "Good afternoon, sir. This is Kemi from the bank. I'm sorry to disturb you," she said nervously. "Oh, Kemi, is there a problem with my account again?" he asked with concern. "No, sir, your account is fine. I'm calling because I'm having a small celebration at my house this Saturday, and I would love you and your wife to come. You've been such a kind customer, and I wanted to show my appreciation." Papa Kemi was surprised but touched. "Oh, that's very kind of you. Are you sure? We don't want to impose. Please, sir, I would be honored if you and your wife could come," Kemi insisted. "Okay, we will come. Thank you for inviting us," Papa Kemi agreed. Kemi gave him her address and they said goodbye. When Papa Kemi told Mama Kemi about the invitation, she was a bit confused. "Why would a bank worker invite us to her home?" she asked. "I don't know, but she has been very kind to me. She seems like a good person. Let's go and see. Maybe she is just a friendly young woman who values her customers," Papa Kemi said. On Saturday, Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi dressed in their best clothes and went to the address Kemi had given them. When they arrived, they were surprised to find no signs of a celebration. No decorations, no other guests, no music, just Kemi and another woman sitting in the living room. "Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. Welcome to my home," Kemi said, standing up to greet them. She seemed nervous. "Good afternoon," Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi replied, looking around in confusion. "Please sit down," Kemi said. "This is my mother, Farida." Farida nodded at them, her eyes already filled with tears. Kemi served them drinks and food. The atmosphere was tense and quiet. Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi ate politely, but they were confused. Where was the celebration? Where were the other guests? After they finished eating, Kemi took a deep breath. "Sir, Madam, thank you for coming. I know you must be wondering why I invited you here. There is no celebration. I asked you to come because I have something very important to tell you. Something that will change all of our lives." Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi looked at each other, then at Kemi, waiting. Kemi nodded to Farida. With tears streaming down her face, Farida began to speak. She told them everything about finding a small child crying in the bushes many years ago, about how she searched but found no one, about how she raised that child as her own, and about how that child grew up to become the young woman sitting before them. As Farida spoke, Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi's eyes grew wider and wider. Their hands began to shake. Mama Kemi grabbed her husband's arm. "Are you saying," Papa Kemi could barely speak, "are you saying that Kemi, this Kemi, is our daughter who got missing over 20 years ago?" "Yes," Farida sobbed. "I believe she is your daughter. When she told me about you, about your missing daughter also named Kemi, about the accident in Ondo State many years ago, it all fit together. I am so sorry for keeping her from you all these years." Mama Kemi stood up, her whole body shaking. She walked toward Kemi, tears pouring down her face. "Is it true? Are you my baby? Are you my Kemi?" Kemi was crying too. "I think so, Mama. I think I am your daughter." Mama Kemi collapsed to her knees and pulled Kemi into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. My baby, you are alive, you are alive." Papa Kemi joined them, wrapping his arms around both of them. The three of them held each other and cried, tears of joy, pain, relief, and overwhelming emotion. Farida stood to the side, watching the reunion she had both hoped for and feared. She was crying too, knowing that while she was returning Kemi to her real parents, she was also losing the daughter she had raised and loved. After some time, when they had all calmed down a bit, Papa Kemi said, "We need to be sure. We need to do a DNA test to confirm." "Yes," Farida agreed. "You should do that. You all deserve to know the truth with certainty."
The next week, they all went to a hospital in Lagos for DNA testing. The waiting period felt endless. Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi prayed constantly, hardly able to believe that their long-lost daughter might have been found. Kemi was overwhelmed with emotions. She had grown up with Farida, who she still loved as a mother, but now she might have her real parents back. What would this mean for her life, for all of their lives? Finally, the day came when the DNA results were ready. They all gathered at the hospital. Papa Kemi, Mama Kemi, Kemi, and Farida. The doctor came in with an envelope. He said, "The results are ready." He opened the envelope and read the report. Then he looked up with a smile. "Congratulations. The test confirms with 99.9% certainty that this young lady is indeed your biological daughter." Mama Kemi let out a cry of joy and fainted. Everyone rushed to help her. When she came to, she was laughing and crying at the same time. My baby is back. After 20 years, my baby is back." Papa Kemi couldn't stop smiling and crying. He held Kemi's face in his hands. "All these years, I prayed to see you again. I never stopped hoping, and God has answered our prayers." The news spread quickly through their community in Ondo State. Friends and family members who had supported Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi through the years came to celebrate with them. The house that had been silent and sad for so many years was once again filled with joy and laughter.
Kemi's return was like a miracle. People who heard the story were amazed at how God had kept her safe all those years and brought her back to her parents in such an unexpected way. But there was still one important matter to address. What about Farida? Kemi sat down with her biological parents and explained everything Farida had done for her. "She raised me with love. She gave me education. She taught me values. Yes, she kept me from you, but she also gave me life. Without her, I might not have survived that day in the bushes." Mama Kemi, despite her own pain at losing 20 years with her daughter, understood. "She saved your life, and for that we will always be grateful. She is also your mother, the mother who raised you. We should honor that." Papa Kemi agreed. "What matters most is that you are alive and well. Farida may have made a mistake by not reporting finding you, but she also loved you and cared for you. We can be angry or we can be grateful. I choose gratitude." They invited Farida to their home. It was an emotional meeting. Farida was afraid they would hate her, but instead they thanked her for keeping Kemi alive and raising her to be such a wonderful person. "You are part of our family now," Mama Kemi told Farida. "You raised our daughter. You are her mother too. We will not take that away from you or from her." Tears flowed as the two mothers embraced. It was a moment of forgiveness, understanding, and love. In the months that followed, Kemi got to know her biological parents. She learnt about her family history, met relatives she never knew existed, and heard stories about her early childhood. Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi told her how much they had loved her, how they had never stopped searching for her, and how they had prayed for her every single day. Kemi also maintained her relationship with Farida. She realized that it was possible to love both of her mothers, the one who gave birth to her and the one who raised her. Both women had given her the greatest gift, love. The community celebrated the reunion as a testimony of faith, hope, and the mysterious ways in which God works. The story of Kemi's disappearance and miraculous return became well known throughout Ondo State and beyond. Kemi continued her work at the bank, now with her father as one of her proud customers. Mama Kemi would visit her at work sometimes just to see her and make sure she was real and not a dream. Years of pain and separation had ended. A family that was torn apart by a tragic accident had been restored. Two mothers who could have been enemies became friends, and a young woman who had been lost was finally found. Moral lesson. The story of Kemi became a story of hope for other families who had lost children. It reminded people never to give up hope, to always have faith, and to believe that miracles can happen. Papa Kemi and Mama Kemi often said, "We thought we had lost our daughter forever, but God kept her safe and brought her back to us. Nothing is impossible with God." Kemi learned that families come in many forms. She had been blessed with 2 mothers who loved her, parents who never gave up searching for her, and a second chance at the family bonds that had been stolen from her as a child. Their story ended not with bitterness or regret, but with love, forgiveness, hope, faith, and gratitude. The child who had been lost, but now she was found. She had been separated, but now she was home. And everyone agreed that this was not just a happy ending, but a beautiful new beginning for all of them. The end.